big metal hoop you've got on the wall the whole time, even though I wanna?
It's a mirror.
It's a mirror?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
All right.
Yeah.
It looked like a Stargate.
Oh no, but we're not going to talk about Lower Decks for 8 minutes.
Sorry. Don't tempt me. These guys don't want that.
We could. Anywho, on the solar opposites, here we are. Great. I've watched the entire season except the Halloween episode.
Oh, wonderful.
Here we are. So, when your guys were doing this season, were you guys considering having them be human for longer or staying on Clervitz 3 for longer?
We were tempted to, but what we really got excited about was we did that Valentine's Day special where they got married, and we really wanted to tell stories about like newlywed horny couple, and being on an alien planet would have like been a little bit of like a gravitational pull towards living on a new planet stories, you know? So we tried to like stuff everything we liked about the new planet all into one, and them turning into humans, like it kind of, we did everything we wanted with that really in the finale of the previous season. So instead of just doing the thing, like sort of playing the same cover song, you know what I mean? Like we wanted to just push and push it forward. But I loved when they were humans, and I liked that planet, but we felt like we'd gotten enough of it, and we wanted to kind of like keep going and do weirder stuff.
And we always may come back. We always have that stuff in our in our back pocket. And I think we always like the idea of subverting the audience as much as we can, what the audience thinks is going to happen. And so it felt like we even set it up in the episode that we were going to be here all season, and then we sort of have them back on Earth.
We kind of did the same thing when the Solars got jobs the previous season too. Like we just want to like try to play with it a little bit and see like, oh, now they work in an office building for a rake company. And then like you get that out of your system and you're like, we could get back to the show as normal. Like, let's do that.
Yeah, I felt that same way with the What If episode. Like, I was like, oh, we're about to do this. And then you didn't. And I still like the episode, but I was like, oh, we're about to do, and then we didn't. Like, I feel like there's like a level of restraint that I appreciate. How do you guys kind of have that within the writer's room that it's just like, we really could do all of this, but there's a story at hand? How do you do that?
I will say this. No one's ever complimented on us on our restraint, Mike.
That's true. I like that.
I feel like we don't.
Not wrong.
We don't restrain much. So whatever we didn't do must have been that much crazier.
Well, no, but when we turned that episode's outline in, I remember the network being, sorry, this is a What If episode where they never what if, and we were like, that's right. And it's because we love TV. We're playing with TV tropes, and we never want to just do something that any other show could do. We want to do something that only Solar Opposites could do. We're constantly getting away with doing weird stuff like the Long Wall episodes or the Silvercops or them being invisible or getting married. Like, I think it really speaks to the show that we're the only animated sitcom about a gay couple with kids, and that's the least wild thing about the show. That's the most normal thing about the show, you know? And stuff like the What If Device episode saying to you, hey, you guys all know what a what if is. There's a whole fucking Marvel show called What If, right? Like, you guys all know what that is. We're going to do that. And then we don't, is like the exact kind of rug pull we like to do on Solar.
Yes. Why is Korvo, he's like the most secure person on Earth and other planets, except in his relationship with Terry? Like, we see this very much vulnerable side that he's just so scared of losing Terry. Yeah. And we see in like all possibilities that like he's not going to lose Terry. Like, why is he so insecure about that?
I think it's because like he's used to math and science and work and things that you can quantify and control. But like love isn't one of those things, you know? And they went down a twisted path to get to where they are. That was like a very non-linear thing. And I think that he's worried that he can't be in control of that, you know, that he can't use a sci-fi ray gun to force this person who's very different from him to love him. And you have to have this level of trust. It's really, you know, I think a lot of people can kind of commiserate, like you can be the best at something in the world, but then relationships are freaking hard and they're new territory for everybody.
Yeah.
Except for Josh, who's like an expert romance artist, you know, he doesn't have
I am not.
So with all of the pop culture references and also Terry's t-shirts and also how each episode has a different opening. You play with a lot of things that in animation series you usually don't have to play with. There's kind of that beauty in animation that, oh, you don't have to change a lot of things, but you guys change so many things. How do you guys come up with like the t-shirts I did and the pop culture things? And do you save some for later? And that you're like, oh, it doesn't work in this episode, we'll come back to it. Do some go over other people's heads and then you have to explain it to people?
Well, it's two different things, right? The pop culture references are like, I love a pop culture reference that's so old that next year it'll still make sense. Like, you don't want to like make a reference to something right now that's really popular and then next year everybody's forgotten about it. I would rather make a reference to something that was popular 20 years ago that everybody's forgotten about, so that we're all on the same page. Like, you know, Crimson Tide is a better reference to me that we can use, the movie Crimson Tide, because it's been around for so long and it might make you hop over and watch it on Hulu or whatever, than say like Wolverine and Deadpool, which next year you might be talking about a different Marvel property. Like, for us, it's being an old school fan or a cult movie fan is kind of more the tone. And then Josh, I think you can speak to our process on the t-shirts.
I mean, the t-shirts are something that all of the writers do and Mike and I do. And it's one of those things where every time we're like, we got to do more t-shirts, everyone grumbles. And then it's the most fun. It's the most fun thing to do because it's just a pure joke. It's just a pure, simple joke. Like, so I love Dick Wolf. I love straight out anime. There's been so many I love. So it ends up being the most fun. And we have hundreds of them that when we sort of at the end of the season, when we realize how many we have, we just pick and choose. And that's the most fun. And the rants, also the writers and Mike and I do as well. And those are great because it's just a chance for us to comment on something we see as weird in the world.
Yeah, it's like,
and it's
just disconnected comedy. Like, people who work on the show are funny. The artists are funny. There's all those little things we can do that are just like more jokes in the show.
Yes. So we also have now the backyard and Silvercops, perhaps a different metal cop as well. We won't give anything away.
That's right. That's right.
But, how do you integrate those stories? That's still a cohesive show. We're still talking about the solar opposites. And is there ever a potential that you would want to explore those shows in their own series?
I mean, listen, we love the idea of spinoffs. You know, like Star Trek even has backdoor pilots in it. Like, there's no show that's been spun off more than Star Trek, and you know I love that stuff. But we don't want to ever do something that's expected. Like, we think if The Wall was its own show, it wouldn't be as ironic or weird that it's showing up when you pair it with a crazy Solar episode. That being said, I have pitched spinoffs from Solar that are things you guys, the audience, would never expect, but that you guys would love, because the last thing we want to do is something expected where you're like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I guess this is something we asked for, you know what I mean? Instead, we'd rather, like the What If device episode, we'd rather say we're giving you something and then have it be something you've never thought of before, you know? And that's kind of the joy of Solar.
Yeah, like a workplace comedy at a room temperature pudding shop. I don't know.
That sounds nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Congratulations on this season. I can't wait to talk to you about future season and future projects.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.